Heartwarming turn of events. Millionaire discovers employee's expulsion. Daughter reveals amazing solution. Jack Sullivan stood in his sleek office, with sprawling views of the bustling town below, feeling invincible. As a self-made millionaire, his tech company had blossomed into a formidable force in the industry. But that morning, the chatter of his employees faded into the background when he overheard a heartbreaking conversation from outside his door. Maria, one of his most dedicated employees, was in tears. The news? She had been expelled from her college due to unpaid tuition fees, a blow that reverberated through her life like a roaring train. His heart sank. This wasn't just about numbers or balance sheets. This was a woman fighting for a future. A single mother trying to build a better life for her son. Maria's resilience echoed in Jack's mind long after he returned to his desk. He couldn't shake it off. The deep chasm between his privilege and her hardship became a weight on his chest. Later that evening, Jack sat across from his teenage daughter, Emily, at their dinner table. He watched as she savored her food, her eyes twinkling with idealism. "Dad," she began, breaking the silence between them, "can we do something for Maria? She deserves a chance." Her voice was filled with urgency and warmth, igniting something within him that felt all too familiar, yet strangely distant. He had once climbed out of a pit of hardship himself. Where had that passion gone? "Sure, sweetheart, I can help her with tuition," Jack replied nonchalantly. He thought of just writing a check and moving on. But Emily glared at him, disappointment etched across her young face. "You don't get it, do you? It's not just about throwing money at her problems. She needs real support, not just a handout." Her words cut like a knife, igniting a firestorm of conflicting emotions in him. Rage and confusion intertwined as they argued over dinner. Before they knew it, Jack and Emily found themselves embroiled in the issue, determined to help Maria but wrestling with their own beliefs. The next day, at the town hall meeting, tension crackled in the air as the community gathered to discuss Maria's plight. Jack felt exposed under the unforgiving lights, surrounded by familiar faces, but at that moment, they seemed like strangers, representatives of various struggles he had long overlooked. "Enough is enough," someone shouted from the crowd. The voice was raw and passionate. Jack felt the heat of their collective frustration wash over him. This wasn't just about Maria anymore. It unraveled a deeper issue. The villagers streamed into his mind, each struggling with their own battles, hidden by the smiles they wore. Perhaps he could no longer just navigate this world through digits and contracts. As the discourse heated up, emotions surged. Jack glanced at Emily beside him, her determination sparking hope. She leaned over, whispering, "We can be a part of this change, Dad. Not just you but us together." In that moment he realized something crucial. Community mattered more than wealth. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Just as Jack was beginning to find common ground with Emily, an unexpected turn of events crashed like a wave against their newfound resolve. What would happen next? Would they discover the strength to truly support Maria and their community? Or would their efforts dissolve into chaos? All Jack could think was he ready to sacrifice for a greater cause? The following morning, Jack awoke with a sense of purpose that had evaded him for years. The sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the small desk scattered with bills and unfinished projects, a stark reminder of the uneven scales of his life. He turned to see Emily already dressed, her hair in a twist, and an anxious energy radiating from her. "Dad, I found a local community group that supports education for single parents," she said eagerly, clutching her phone like a lifeline. "They meet today, and I think it would be amazing if we could both go together." Jack rubbed his face, still shaking off sleep. "What do they do exactly?" Emily jumped in. "They help arrange scholarships, mentorships, and even tutoring for parents who are struggling. Plus, they have resources for job training. It could help Maria and so many others." Feeling the weight of his daughter's enthusiasm, Jack nodded, slowly realizing that this was more than just about Maria. It was about a chance to heal connections he hadn't even noticed were frayed. They needed to dive into this together. As a family, the meeting. The small community center was alive with color and voices, palpable with hope and urgency. Jack scanned the room filled with faces, some familiar, others not, each painted with stories of resilience. As they settled into their seats, he could feel the warmth of Emily's hand resting on his leg. It was a small gesture that reminded him he was not alone. An older woman stood up, her voice strong yet tender. Maria is just one of many. Every day we see individuals slipping through the cracks of this system. We need to come together, to lift each other up, not just with money, but with time, support, and love. As she spoke, Jack's heart thumped in rhythm with the rising intensity of her words. When Maria arrived, the room hushed. Her eyes were red and strained, but there was a fierce determination behind them. Jack could see she was trying to hold it together, for herself and for her son. Emily squeezed his hand tighter, and Jack felt a rush of compassion steering him toward courage. Maria, Jack began, standing up impulsively, we want to help you. I know money isn't the answer, but we can join forces. Emily and I would like to help organize workshops. We can fundraise and involve others in the community. Together we can support not just you, but everyone in a similar situation. Gasps filled the room, followed by a ripple of murmurs. Jack's heart raced. He had never been one to stand in the spotlight, yet here he was, speaking from a place he had long ignored. Maria beamed, tears welling in her eyes. You're willing to do this? For real? Yes. Let us build something together. Let us show what a community can do. He exclaimed, the words spilling out like a dam breaking loose. The meeting sparked an avalanche of excitement. Ideas flew, plans were set, and determination thrived in the almost electric atmosphere. Emily beamed, absorbing the infectious energy all around her. Later, as they walked to their car, Jack felt lighter. Emily bounced beside him, her enthusiasm tangible. Dad, this could change everything. People will come together in ways we didn't think were possible. Yeah, Jack agreed, his mind racing with possibilities. But we'll have to stay committed. It won't be easy. In that moment, as he looked at his daughter, a new reality began to form, one where he could no longer just exist within his wealth, but rather use it to cultivate a spirit of unity and resilience. But just as hope swelled, the reality of Jack's business loomed large in the distance. What happens when the pressures of the tech world collide with the budding community effort? And, more importantly, what if his own choices threaten the very foundations they were trying to build? The car hummed softly as Jack drove, the sunlight filtering through the trees lining the street. He glanced at Emily, whose eyes sparkled with ideas, illuminating possibilities they had only begun to tap into. Do you really think we can pull this off? He asked, breaking the comfortable silence. Absolutely. We'll fundraise like crazy, Emily said, her enthusiasm infectious. We can start a social media campaign, get local businesses involved. I bet we could even host a community fair. Jack smiled, her spirit reigniting his own. A fair sounds perfect. We could showcase local talent. Maybe even get the local food trucks involved. And games. We can have fun activities for the kids, Emily added, her imagination soaring. As they turned into their driveway, Jack's heart fluttered with an unexpected surge of hope. This was what it felt like to dream again. But just as the excitement swelled within him, the weight of his responsibilities settled heavily on his shoulders. The reminders of deadlines, corporate meetings, and that looming project he had stalled on crept in. Sitting at the kitchen table later, Jack opened his laptop, the glow reflecting off his weary face. A few emails awaited him, including one from an employee, Nate, who'd been struggling for months. With the tech world's intensity burrowing deeper, Nate's performance had faltered. Jack had noticed but had put it aside. He hesitated, then opened the message. Jack. I'm just reaching out to say I'm considering other opportunities. It seems like a new start might be what I need. And I fully understand if you don't feel we can carry on together. Each word felt like a stone dropping into his stomach. Nate had been a dedicated team member. His talents had helped build the company into what it was today. But he had been slipping through the cracks just like Maria. Jack slammed the laptop shut, frustration welling up inside him. Dad? Emily asked from the living room, her voice slicing through the tension. Are you okay? Jack rubbed his temples, the conflict gnawing at him. Nate's leaving the company. I wish I had done something sooner. I just got so wrapped up in everything. You should talk to him, she urged, appearing in the doorway. If he's feeling lost, maybe he needs your help. Just like Maria. You could offer him mentorship. I know. I just worry I'm not the best person for that. His voice faltered, filled with self-doubt. Emily stepped closer, determination etched across her features. But you care, Dad. You can't carry all of this on your own. You're making a difference for Maria. Why not for Nate? Jack looked at the beam of light grazing her, the force of her conviction momentarily quelling his fears. Maybe she was right. Maybe this was about stepping up for others, realizing that while he held the reins of his company, he could also guide people toward their potential. Okay, he said finally, feeling a shift inside him. I'll talk to him. But once we get this community effort rolling, it needs my focus too. Perfect. You can do both. Emily grinned, her excitement palpable. I'll help you. We can bring Nate in for our workshops too. Everyone needs a second chance, right? Jack chuckled, a warmth unfurling within him. You're right. A second chance for all of us. But as he settled down for the evening, Jack's mind was already teetering between phone calls and spreadsheets, visions of workshops and an employee's journey. Could he truly find balance? Just then, his phone buzzed with an unknown number. Jack hesitated, a feeling of foreboding creeping up his spine. What if this was about his business, something urgent he needed to address? He picked it up, heart racing. Jack's breath hitched as he stared at the screen, the unknown number glowing ominously. He pressed the answer button, bracing himself for whatever news awaited. Hello, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. Mr. Davis? The voice on the other end was slick, but there was an edge of urgency threading through it. This is Mark from Revotech's HR department. I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time. Jack's mind raced. HR? What is this regarding? There's been a situation involving one of your employees, Nate Thompson. We've had some concerning reports, and I felt it was necessary to reach out directly to you. Panic flared in Jack's chest. The last thing he needed was another crisis within his company. Nate's struggles had weighed on him enough already. What kind of reports? It seems there's been a significant decline in his productivity, and we've received feedback about some erratic behavior. I wanted to give you a heads up, as you know him better than we do. Jack's grip tightened on the phone. I know Nate has been going through a tough time, but he's a dedicated worker. I can talk to him. Talking may be a good start, but I suggest you take this seriously. We can arrange for counseling and support if he's willing. Thanks for the advice. I'll reach out to him. The concern in Mark's tone echoed in Jack's mind. He hung up, a knot of worry twisting in his stomach. How could he have let it get this far? Dad? Emily's curious voice drifted in from the kitchen. Jack took a deep breath and turned to her. It's about Nate. It's worse than I thought. He's really struggling, Emily. Her eyes widened, sympathy flickering across her face. Then we should help him. You can reach out like you're going to do with Maria. I know we need to act, but it's not easy. Jack felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He could take the first step, but the moment felt daunting. Maybe you just need to show him he's not alone. Emily reached over, placing her small hand on his. Do you remember how scared I felt when I had trouble in school? But you always told me I could come to you. The memory washed over him like a warm tide. Jack nodded, grateful for her insight. You're right. He deserves encouragement just like you did. I'll set up a meeting for tomorrow. Good. And don't forget to mention the community fair. Maybe getting involved could spark something in him. Emily's eyes sparked with ideas again, her enthusiasm lifting Jack's spirits despite the heaviness of the situation as Jack caught a glimpse of the formidable task ahead, helping Nate overcome his troubles while trying to balance the community event. He felt a flicker of hope spark anew. Maybe they could turn this around together. The next morning, Jack sat at his desk, staring at the laptop's blank screen. He had opened a document titled Nate's Future but hadn't typed a single word. What could he say that would reach Nate where he truly needed it? Just then a message flashed across his screen. It was a notification from social media. Approaching the community fair, local business owners were sharing ideas, pledging their support, and celebrating the grassroots movement Emily had ignited. Jack felt the stirring of excitement. A shift was in the air, one he could sense beyond work and stress. There were lives at stake, and he could be part of it. He stood abruptly, almost startling himself. The time had come to make the call to reach out to Nate, offer that lifeline, and maybe bring his coworker back from the edge. Picking up the phone, he took a deep breath and dialed Nate's number. As it rang, Jack realized he was stepping into uncharted waters, ready to face whatever awaited on the other side. But would Nate be open to his help? A new tension hummed in the air as the line clicked. Jack braced himself for the conversation and for what it might reveal. Nate's voice came through, low and uncertain. "Hello? Hey Nate, it's Jack," he said, trying to keep his tone light. The silence on the other end was heavy, as if Nate was still trying to wake from a restless sleep. "How are you doing?" There was a long pause before Nate finally spoke. "I'm managing. Just busy with work. Listen, I just got a call from HR. They mentioned some concerns about your productivity. I wanted to see how you were really doing." Nate exhaled sharply, the sound almost guttural. "I know. I guess I'm just going through a rough patch." The honesty in his voice surprised Jack. It was raw, unguarded. "What's going on? Do you want to talk about it?" Jack leaned back in his chair, prepared to listen. "I don't know if talking will help," Nate replied, his voice cracking slightly. "Things have just piled up. I feel like I'm failing at everything." Jack's heart ached for him. "You're not failing, Nate. We all go through tough times. I want to help you. I really do. Can we meet up?" "Meet up?" The hesitation was clear, and Jack could picture Nate, rubbing the back of his neck, staring at his worn-out shoes. "Yeah, maybe grab a coffee or something, just so we can chat in person. You're not alone in this." Another silence. Jack imagined Nate searching for the right words, battling the shadows of doubt inside him. "I've been hiding, Jack. I should have asked for help sooner." The admission made Jack's chest tighten. "It's okay to feel overwhelmed. I honestly didn't realize how serious it had gotten. I'm here for you, Nate. There's no shame in that." "Sure, okay." The reluctance was still there, but something in Nate's voice had softened. "How about this afternoon?" "Sounds perfect. Let us meet at the cafe down the street? I'll be there in an hour." "All right," Nate said. The conversation ended in a rush, leaving Jack's mind swirling. He felt both relieved to have the meeting set and nervous about what might unfold. After hanging up, Jack glanced at his calendar, mentally preparing for the community fair he had committed to organizing. He loved how Emily's enthusiasm had reignited a passion within him, but Nate's situation weighed heavily. The two felt worlds apart. As the hour ticked closer to the meeting, Jack found himself pacing his small office. He thought back to when he had felt lost in his own life, not unlike Nate. He remembered how the smallest gesture, a coffee with a friend, had been what pulled him back from the edge. When he arrived at the cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped him, and the chatter of customers faded into the background. He spotted Nate sitting alone in a corner, his face shadowed by the brim of a well-worn cap. Jack walked over, heart pounding, and offered a reassuring smile. "Hey, glad you could make it." Nate looked up, his eyes weary but hopeful. "Thanks for coming, Jack." They settled into a quiet booth, Jack's nerves mixed with the warmth of being present for someone who truly needed it. As they exchanged small talk, Jack tried to lighten the atmosphere, but it felt like they were tiptoeing around something more profound. "Look, Nate," Jack said, his voice steady but soft, "I want you to know that you can be honest with me. About everything." Nate shifted in his seat, biting his lip. "I've been feeling a lot of pressure. I don't want to let anyone down." Jack leaned forward, sincerity spilling from him. "You're not going to let me down. You're human. We all have struggles. I'm proud of you for reaching out." A tear slipped down Nate's cheek, a tiny crack in his facade. It was just the beginning, and Jack sensed he was on the verge of something that could change everything. But would Nate take the leap of faith he so desperately needed? As Nate opened up, Jack leaned closer, ready to support him. This was a moment both delicate and pivotal, a chance for healing that would extend beyond just the two of them. But would Nate allow himself to be vulnerable enough to accept it? Nate swallowed hard, the weight of his confession hanging between them like a heavy fog. He stared at the table, tracing the pattern on the wood with his fingertips, as if it could lead him to the right words. "I feel like I'm losing control, Jack. My work, it's like I'm drowning. Every time I think I'm catching my breath, another wave hits me." Jack's heart raced as he saw the struggle in Nate's eyes. I can't even imagine how tough that must feel. But you don't have to go through this alone. He reached across the table and placed a reassuring hand on Nate's. Look, every challenge feels insurmountable at first. But sharing it makes it lighter. Nate looked up, surprise flickering across his face. You really think so? Absolutely, Jack replied, an earnest smile breaking through. It's okay to ask for help. Half the battle is recognizing you need support. He could see the hesitation still etched on Nate's features. What if I just totally crash and burn? What if I can't fix this? Then we'll figure it out together, Jack said, squeezing his hand softly. You're strong, but even the strongest need a lifeline now and then. Remember that time you helped me with that project for the community center? We made it happen as a team. It feels different when it's your own life, you know? Nate's voice quivered. But Jack could hear hints of something else, vulnerability mingled with determination. Sure, but isn't that what makes us human? Our experiences, good or bad, shape us. Sometimes it's what helps us grow. Nate nodded slowly, the wheels visibly turning in his mind. What if I can't turn things around? What if I don't get it together before it's too late? Then we'll talk to your manager or HR together. You deserve to have your voice heard. Jack leaned back, his tone light but sincere. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. You take it one step at a time and I'll be right here cheering you on. A flicker of hope ignited in Nate's eyes, and Jack felt warmth wash over him. Maybe this conversation could be the first step toward Nate's breakthrough. I'm scared, Nate admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. That's okay. Fear is just a sign that you care, Jack said, his heart swelling with empathy. What's important is that you're here reaching out. That's what counts. Nate wiped his tears away, a hint of resolve settling in his posture. I want to try, he said, a small yet determined smile breaking through his facade. Good. That's all we need, just a willingness to move forward. Jack felt a surge of pride for his friend. Maybe they could turn this around together. Nate's phone buzzed on the table, breaking the moment. He glanced at it, the sudden shift in his demeanor palpable. The frown returned. It's work. I should probably take this. Sure, go ahead, Jack replied, though a knot formed in his stomach. He hoped this call wouldn't derail everything they had built in just a few minutes. Nate answered, his voice low and tense. Jack watched, sensing the shift in the air as Nate's expression twisted in frustration. Halfway through the call, Nate's breathing grew ragged, his free hand balled into a fist on the table. The happiness they just cultivated slipped away as if a curtain had been drawn again. When Nate finally hung up, the energy felt heavy. I can't believe this is happening. I thought I had time. He sat back. Anguish etched deep into his features. What happened? Jack's voice was soft but steady, ready to dive back into whatever pitched him into darkness. They want more reports by the end of the week. I just can't keep up with everything. A slight tremor caught in Nate's voice. Let us break it down together. What can we tackle first? Jack offered, feeling the urgency swell again. They had just made headway, and he wasn't about to watch it crumble. But in Nate's eyes a haunting panic re-emerged. I just feel like I'm running out of time. As Nate's words hung between them, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they were at a crossroads, one that could lead to either profound change or deeper despair. Would Nate be able to find the strength to push past this moment, or would he allow himself to be overwhelmed yet again? Nate took a deep breath. I need to think. The weight of uncertainty loomed before them, but Jack knew they'd find a way through together. He could feel it in his bones. But what if Nate seized the chance to dig deeper? What if the next conversation revealed what Nate had been hiding all along? Nate stared blankly at the wall, his mind swirling with thoughts like a storm. Jack sat quietly, allowing the silence to settle around them, hoping Nate would find his footing again. The air felt thick, almost suffocating, as if their emotions were clinging to the space between them. Do you remember when we went on that hike last summer? Nate finally broke the silence, his voice tinged with nostalgia. Jack nodded, grateful for the change in direction. You kept pushing me to summit the peak even when I wanted to give up. You're stronger than you think, Nate. Just like then. We made it to the top, didn't we? Jack replied, a spark of encouragement lighting his eyes. Yeah, but that was different, Nate sighed, running a hand through his hair, frustration mingling with memory. Out there I could breathe, you know? It was just us and the mountains. Here though life feels unrelenting. Jack felt a pang in his chest. He wished he could take away the weight Nate felt, but he also knew that this was a part of the journey. Maybe it's time to take that same approach here. Let us break down the obstacles like that hike. One step at a time. Nate looked at him, a flicker of understanding crossing his features. But what if I can't even get started? What if I fail? Then we'll learn from it, Jack said, his voice firm. Failure isn't the end. It's a stepping stone to something greater. You owe it to yourself to try, to at least give it a shot. Nate dropped his gaze, staring into the depths of his worries, the shadows dancing in his mind. I'm just so tired of being the one who can't keep it together. My entire life feels like a series of breakdowns and band-aids. Jack leaned forward, his heart heavy for his friend. It's okay to be tired. Doesn't mean you're weak. Just means you're human. Look around. Everyone you see is fighting a battle you know nothing about. It's okay to lean on someone else for a change. With a shaky breath, Nate finally looked up again, searching Jack's eyes for answers. What if I just take it hour by hour? What if that's enough? That's perfect, Jack encouraged, feeling his spirit lift. Just keep moving forward 1 hour at a time. You don't have to have it all figured out tonight. Nate nodded slowly as if trying to allow the idea to settle. A hint of a smile appeared, fragile yet real. 'Kay then. 1 hour sounds manageable. I can do that. The heaviness that had settled around them began to lift. Jack felt a surge of pride mixed with relief. That's my guy. And remember, I'm with you every step of the way. Just text me if you feel overwhelmed. As they spoke, the rooms filled with a sense of renewed energy. It felt like a small flicker of light breaking through a dense cloud. But then the phone buzzed again between them. Nate's shoulders stiffened as he grabbed it, his expression turning serious once more. Jack's heart dropped as he watched Nate's face fall. It's management. They want an update by tomorrow. Can't they give you a break? Jack protested, but Nate simply shook his head, suddenly looking like that weight was back on his shoulders. No, they don't understand. I can't breathe under all this pressure. A hint of desperation crept into Nate's voice. It's never ending. Then let us change the narrative, Jack insisted, refusing to let the moment slip away. Let us turn the table. You are not just an employee. You're their greatest asset. What do you need from them? Nate took a deep breath, the air quivering with possibility. I'll write them an email tonight. I can ask for an extension. Yes, that's the spirit, Jack exclaimed, feeling the spark of hope return. You can do this. Nate's resolve seemed to strengthen again, though uncertainty lingered in his eyes. What if they say no? Jack replied quickly, then we regroup. It's not the end. It's just another challenge, and we can face it together. As Nate scribbled notes on his notepad, Jack sensed a shift. The moment felt pivotal. They were on the brink of something, a change. Could Nate embrace the challenge ahead? But just as Nate looked up with a newfound determination, another call came through. One that could threaten everything they were building. Jack felt his heart race as he watched Nate's expression shift, curiosity and fear dancing across his face. Who is it? Jack asked, tension in the air thick as smoke. Would this be the call that would tip Nate back into despair? Or would it unlock a revelation that could change everything? Nate took a deep breath, the phone vibrating intensely in his hand. A wave of unease washed over him. He braced himself for what he feared could be another source of unease. He glanced at Jack, who wore an encouraging expression, a silent push forward. Nate swiped to answer. Hello. His voice was shaky, betraying the calm he tried to project. Nate, it's Leslie, the voice on the other end said. Leslie was from HR, and Nate's heart raced. We need to talk about your upcoming projects and some changes. A lump formed in Nate's throat. What kind of changes? Can you come to the office tomorrow? There was a pause, and then her voice turned serious. I think we need to have a frank discussion regarding your performance and some recent reductions. A cold chill crept up Nate's spine. It felt like the ground was slipping beneath his feet. He was losing control again. What do you mean? Reductions? Are you saying I might lose my job? Nate, I know things have been tough, but we need to discuss this in person. Silence lingered heavily between them, Nate feeling like the walls were closing in. "Okay, I'll be there," he managed to reply, his voice barely above a whisper. He hung up and looked at Jack, who was already moving closer, reading his distress. "What did she say?" Jack's voice was gentle, but Nate could see the concern in his eyes. "They want to talk about my performance about cuts," Nate replied, his voice trembling. "I think they want to fire me." Jack's expression hardened. "No way. You've been working your ass off. It doesn't make sense. But what if it's true? Maybe they see me as a liability. I've been barely holding it together," Nate said, feeling the panic rise. "No, that's not what they see," Jack insisted, determined. "You are not a liability. You just need to find a way to show them what you're capable of. Remember what we talked about. It's time to push back." Nate felt the uncertainty pressing on him again. How could he present himself as strong when he felt like he was crumbling? "Listen," Jack said, stepping closer. "This might be your moment to show them your value. You can prepare something that highlights everything you've done. You're not alone in this. I'll help you write it." As a hint of urgency sparkled in Jack's eyes, Nate felt a beam of hope light up within him. Maybe this could be the turning point after all. And what if they still decide to cut me anyway? We won't let them. You can't focus on the possible outcomes before you take your shot. You are stronger than you think and you know your worth. Nate felt a shift in his chest. Yes, he would face this challenge, whatever it was, head on. There was a flicker of belief building within him. "Okay, let us do this," Nate finally said, determination creeping into his voice. "Let us write that email. I have to ask for more time, lay down everything I've accomplished, show them I'm not done yet." But just as he felt the embers of hope flare, another call came through, blaring loudly and disrupting the moment. Nate hesitated but took it anyway, guessing it might change everything again. "Hello? Nate?" You won't believe this. The voice on the line was unfamiliar, but insistent, a voice that carried potential and urgency. Jack's gaze intensified as Nate listened, his heart pounding. Something was shifting and he had no idea what was coming next. Would this call be the catalyst for change? Or would it deepen the pit of despair he had been climbing out of? Nate's pulse quickened as he clutched the phone tighter, his mind racing. "Who is this?" he asked, trying to sound more composed than he felt. "Nate, it's Charlie from the company. I know this is a surprise, but trust me, you need to hear what I have to say." His voice bristled with an urgency that sent shivers down Nate's spine. "What do you mean?" Nate was scratching at his scalp now, completely puzzled. "What is it about my job?" "I just learned about the cuts," Charlie said, lowering his tone. "And I think there's been a misunderstanding. The last project you worked on, the feedback was incredible. Upper management doesn't know what they're doing." Nate's heart surged with a mix of disbelief and hope. "So I'm not getting fired? Is that what you're saying? They haven't made any decisions yet. That's why you need to get in front of them. If you can show your value before they meet tomorrow, you might just turn this around," Charlie urged, his voice rising in excitement. Nate took a moment, letting the words settle in. Could this be the lifeline he needed? "What do you suggest I do?" "Draft a list of your achievements and don't shy away from sharing your vision for the future. You need to emphasize how dedicated you are, how much you want to grow with the company. And when you do meet with them, don't hold back. Show them the real Nate." Nate thought about Jack's encouragement and felt the flames of determination flicker back to life. "Okay, I'll do it. Thank you, Charlie." "Thank you." Hanging up the phone, he glanced at Jack, whose eyes gleamed with excitement. "What did he say?" "Nobody's ready to throw me out just yet. But I have to convince them." "I don't know how." Nate trailed off, feeling the weight of the challenge press on him. Jack grinned. "You've got this. Remember everything you've done. You've turned around tough projects before. Show them you're not just another name, they need you." Nate nodded, fueled by Jack's unwavering confidence. He grabbed his laptop, fingers dancing over the keyboard as he crafted the email. He pulled up reports, recognition from clients, everything that proved his worth. But suddenly a kernel of doubt crept into his mind. What if Charlie was wrong? What if his efforts weren't enough? What if I fail? Nate mumbled, his voice almost lost amidst the growing determination. "If you do, you'll learn and come back stronger," Jack replied, a hint of conviction lining his words. "But right now, you're not allowed to think like that. You're climbing this mountain, Nate. Just focus on the next step." Taking a deep breath, Nate felt the fight rise within him again. He continued typing, pouring out everything, the late nights, sacrifices, and dreams he had for the company. He paused, reflecting on how far he had come, the battles he had fought just to be in this position. When he finished, he hit send with a surge of exhilaration. There, it's done. Jack clapped him on the back. See, you've taken a step. You're owning this situation. Just then, Nate's phone buzzed again and he glanced at the screen. A message from Charlie. Meet me at the cafe down the street. I have more information about the meeting tomorrow. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Nate exchanged startled glances with Jack as anticipation bubbled within him. This could change everything. Then let us go, Jack said, the excitement crackling in the air between them as they rushed out. Nate felt a wave of possibilities ahead. Could this be the breakthrough he'd been waiting for? What revelation awaited him at the cafe, and would it give him the edge he needed to secure his job? The air buzzed with tension, and as they stepped into the busy street, Nate couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to take a major turn. Nate felt a jolt as they approached the cafe, already filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the chatter of hopeful conversations. His heart raced, caught in the whirlwind of possibility and apprehension. Would Charlie's information tip the scales in his favor? As they entered, Jack scanned the crowd, his supportive presence intensifying Nate's courage. They settled at a corner table, the sunlight pouring through the window, casting shadows that danced alongside their emotions. A moment later, Charlie appeared, his eyes bright with urgency and conviction. Thanks for coming, Nate, he said, sliding into the booth right across from him. Jack leaned back slightly, giving them space but still very much present, a guardian spirit at his side. What's going on? Nate asked, a knot of anticipation tightening in his chest. Charlie leaned in, lowering his tone. I've seen your work, Nate. Upper management is worried about budget cuts, but they don't see the whole picture. They're failing to recognize the impact of employees like you. You've got to present them not just the numbers, but the heart and passion behind your projects. Nate's brow furrowed, trying to grasp how he could possibly frame his value amid looming cuts. How do I convince them they need me? Show them what you've accomplished, Charlie urged, his enthusiasm infectious. Highlight those projects but also share your vision, how you see your role evolving. Talk about expertise that benefits the whole team. For the first time, Nate felt a sense of hope wash over him. It was more than a job. It was about the future they could build together as a team. I can do that, he said, the conviction firming in his voice. And remember to mention that community project you're working on with Jack, Charlie insisted. It showcases your commitment to giving back, which resonates with the company's core values. Nate looked at Jack, who nodded encouragingly. You've got to be reminded that you are not just a number. You're part of a family both here and in the community, Jack added, his gaze steady and warm. They began to outline Nate's achievements right then and there, words flowing like a river, shaping an impassioned narrative he'd never fully embraced. As the discussion evolved, Nate felt a catharsis, the ghosts of self-doubt increasingly banished by his own determination. He realized that this was not merely a fight for his job. It was an opportunity to redefine his place in the world and lift others along with him. Time flew until they both realized the clock was ticking. Charlie looked at Nate, confidence shining in his eyes. Take a deep breath. You can and will amaze them. Just remember, you're more capable than you believe. Moments later, they stood together outside the cafe, the afternoon sun glowing brighter as if validating their journey. Let us go show them what we're made of, Nate said with newfound resolve. Jack clapped him on the shoulder. You've got this, Nate. We all believe in you. As Nate walked into the building, the weight of doubt felt smaller. He confidently entered the conference room, where management awaited him. Thank you for meeting with me, he began, laying out his plans with clarity and passion. He spoke of his initiatives, team dynamics, and the ripple effect of their community efforts. With each word, he infused hope and urgency into the bright future they could create together. At the end of his presentation, silence filled the room and he could feel the intensity of their gazes upon him. The air felt electric, charged with anticipation. Then a manager spoke. Nate, you've shown a deep understanding of your role and our values. We need that. And we need you. A wave of relief rushed through Nate, stronger than any challenge he'd faced. He could see the approval in their eyes, a dawning realization that he wasn't just an employee. He was valuable, needed among them. As he exited the building with Jack and Charlie, triumphant energy hummed in the air. Emily was waiting outside, her eyes alight with excitement. "Did you do it?" she asked, bouncing slightly on her feet. Nate broke into a grin. "I did. I think they really see me now, what I bring to the table," Emily gasped, her joy spilling over as they all hugged tightly. "This is a huge step. Just think of everything we can do now." Jack smiled, his heart swelling with pride for both Nate and Emily. They had come together, he had found back hope, and they all got to be part of something bigger. The community fair was just days away. They would unite, not just for Maria but for everyone who needed support. Nate turned to them, feeling their shared enthusiasm swell. "Let us build something amazing together. A place where everyone can shine." As visions of future endeavors filled their minds, it marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just for Nate, but for all their intertwined lives. He felt the world expand before him, a canvas of hope, resilience, and community. In each other they had found strength. Now is the time to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm with energy and support. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these critical actions. Let's make a difference together.